Filipino caregiver laughed at by wealthy family. She later owned the nursing homes they lived in. The wealthy family gathered in their elegant dining room, laughter echoing as they mocked the young Filipino caregiver standing quietly in the corner. Her accent, her uniform, her humble background, all became the subject of their cruel jokes. She kept her eyes lowered, hands folded, absorbing every insult in silence. To them, she was invisible, just a servant. What they didn't know was that behind her calm expression burned a dream so powerful it could not be broken by ridicule. Years later, those same family members, now frail and dependent, would find themselves living in a nursing home. The shock came when they discovered the owner, the woman they once mocked. She no longer stood silently in a corner. She now stood above them, as their boss. Before we continue this story, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to subscribe now. Don't forget to hit the like button and press the bell icon so you never miss our new stories. Her name was Maria Santos, a woman born in a small coastal town in the Philippines. Raised by hard-working parents, Maria grew up with strong values: humility, resilience, and compassion. Yet poverty clung to her family like a shadow. While her classmates dreamed of careers in business or law, Maria's focus was survival. She dreamed of one day becoming a nurse, helping others and securing a better life for her family. But nursing school required money her family didn't have. At just 19, she made the heartbreaking choice to leave her home country and work overseas as a caregiver. Like many Filipino women, she sacrificed her own comfort for the sake of her loved ones. Maria arrived in the United States with little more than a suitcase, her rosary beads, and the determination to succeed. She worked as a caregiver for the elderly, bathing them, feeding them, sitting by their beds through long nights. The work was hard, often thankless, and many treated her as if she were beneath them. One family in particular tested her strength: the Richmonds, an old money family with a mansion as large as Maria's entire neighborhood back home. They hired her to care for their elderly matriarch, but instead of gratitude, they offered mockery. During dinners, they would joke about her broken English. They called her just a maid, laughed at her simple clothes, and even questioned why someone like her was allowed in their home. Their cruelty wasn't hidden. It was deliberate. Each insult was thrown like a stone meant to remind her of her place. But Maria was not broken. Each night, after long shifts, she studied. She bought used textbooks from thrift stores, taught herself medical terms, and saved every spare dollar. While they mocked her accent, she was perfecting her English. While they laughed at her, she was building her future. What they didn't realize was that the woman they ridiculed was quietly laying the foundation of an empire. Maria's life became a cycle of sacrifice. She worked double shifts as a caregiver, often skipping meals so she could send money home to the Philippines. Her younger siblings depended on her support to finish school. Her mother's medicine was bought with her wages. She carried not just her dreams, but the weight of her entire family on her back. The Richmonds remained cruel. One evening, when Maria accidentally mispronounced a word while giving instructions about medication, their eldest daughter laughed and said, "If you can't even speak English right, how can you ever be more than a servant?" The others chuckled, and Maria stood silently, her heart aching. But later that night, as she folded her uniform, she whispered to herself, "One day, I'll show them." Despite the insults, Maria's compassion never wavered. She treated every elderly patient with dignity and respect, even when their families didn't. Her kindness earned her the trust of patients and, slowly, the recognition of a few good employers. Maria saved diligently. After years of sacrifice, she managed to enroll in night classes in nursing. Balancing her caregiving shifts with studies nearly broke her health, but she endured. She graduated as a licensed nurse, a moment that felt like climbing a mountain barefoot. Still, Maria didn't stop. She realized something important. Many elderly patients weren't mistreated by caregivers, but by the system. Nursing homes were often understaffed, residents neglected, and profit was prioritized over dignity. Maria dreamed of building something better. She began by opening a small assisted living facility with her savings, renting a modest house and converting it into a safe, welcoming home for seniors. At first, only a few residents trusted her, but her reputation for compassion spread quickly. Families who wanted their loved ones treated with dignity chose Maria's home. The years rolled by, and her small facility grew. One home became two became five. She reinvested every dollar, refusing luxury for herself, focusing only on expansion. Maria became known in the healthcare community not as the immigrant caregiver, but as a respected businesswoman with a heart for the elderly. And then, fate played its hand. One of her nursing homes received new residents, none other than the Richmond parents, now frail, aging, and in need of care. The same family who once laughed at her now entered her business as clients. The day they arrived, Maria walked into the facility in a tailored suit, her name badge reading, Maria Santos, owner and director. The Richmonds froze in disbelief. Gone was the timid young caregiver they mocked. Standing before them was the powerful woman who now owned the very place where they sought refuge. The Richmonds had no choice but to accept her authority. Their mother, whom Maria once cared for in their mansion, was now a resident under her supervision. The irony was sharp, and the humiliation was undeniable. At first they avoided her, embarrassed and ashamed, but soon reality forced them to face the truth. Maria wasn't just a caregiver anymore. She was the head of an entire network of nursing homes. Her staff respected her, her community admired her, and her residents adored her. The moment of reckoning came during a board meeting. For her facilities, which the Richmond sons attended as potential investors, they listened quietly as Maria presented her expansion plans. Confident, articulate, and commanding the room with grace. They could barely recognize the woman they once ridiculed. In that moment, the power dynamic had flipped completely. They once mocked her accent, now they listened to her vision. They once laughed at her uniform, now she wore tailored suits. They once called her just a maid, now she was the boss of their mother's care. For Maria, it wasn't about revenge, it was about dignity. She treated the Richmond matriarch with the same compassion she had always shown, proving that true strength is measured not by cruelty, but by kindness. And yet, the family could not escape the weight of their past actions. Every time they walked through the hallways of her facility, they were reminded that the woman they had scorned had risen higher than they ever imagined. Maria's empire of nursing homes grew into one of the most respected in the state. She became a symbol of hope for immigrant workers, especially Filipinos, who left their homelands in search of opportunity. Her story was featured in newspapers, described as the caregiver who built an empire. To her, it wasn't about the wealth. It was about creating places where the elderly were treated with love and respect, places she wished had existed when she first arrived. The Richmonds, once wealthy and arrogant, now lived humbly under her care, though their pride kept them from apologizing at first. Time and frailty softened their hearts. One evening, their eldest daughter approached Maria with tears in her eyes, whispering an apology for the cruelty of their youth. Maria simply smiled and said, "Forgiveness is the greatest wealth we can give." Her journey proved a powerful truth. Racism and cruelty may attempt to define a person, but they can never erase determination. From caregiver to nursing home owner, Maria's story became a beacon for anyone told they were less than. And to you watching this, remember, no beginning is too small. No insult is too powerful to chain you down. With resilience, compassion, and persistence, you can rise higher than anyone ever believed. If this story inspired you, please like this video and subscribe for more powerful stories of resilience, justice, and transformation. Because sometimes the people the world laughs at are the very ones who end up changing it.